Come on over here. Well, I haven't made a copper video in a while, so saw a good article on the internet and got me to thinking. And I'm going to make a bit of a prediction here. If you can hear me from all the chicken talk, 10 years from now, it's going to take one of these to buy one of these. Each penny, each copper penny. Of course, check out my other videos on copper pennies. You'll see any penny made before 1982 is 95% copper. A roll of copper pennies in 10 years, I believe, is going to be worth $5, 10 cents a copper penny. And you know, everybody wishes they could have got into silver back when it was like $3 an ounce. Well, now's your chance. Get into copper. It's still relatively cheap. Copper penny's worth like 2.7 cents right now. Copper's going for around 4 1/4 a pound. So save your copper. Give you a couple of highlights from this article I wrote. Copper, the demand for copper is supported by growth in Africa, China, India, and other emerging markets. There's a global infrastructure deficit, and copper is used greatly in infrastructure. The overall weakness of the U.S. dollar translates into support for dollar-denominated metal prices. Christian Tuchman, analyst at Danske Bank, says we see renewed strength in the second half, and you've got to be bullish on copper for the next few years. The global recovery is becoming more broad-based, and you're not going to see any new mines coming on stream for at least this year. According to J.P. Morgan, the world refined copper market will have a 500,000 metric ton deficit in 2011. BHP, the world's largest mining company, said in January that output from their mine in Chile, the world's largest copper mine, would drop as much as 10% the year ending in June because of lower ore grades. Codelco, based in Santiago, the world's largest copper producer, said on March 25th that supply from its mines fell for the 5th time in 6 years. London-based Anglo-American PLC reported lower output this year. Tom Albanese, CEO Rio Tinto Group, the world's second largest mining company, said that the industry has struggled to maintain supply because of declining ore grades, delays in mine expansions, and disruptions from strikes. Ore grades averaged 0.76% copper content in 2009 compared with 0.9% in 2002. Chile mined 6.6 less copper in February than a year earlier, the 5th decline in the last 6 months, says the National Statistics Institute. Barclays forecasts an 889,000 ton shortfall for 2011. So J.P. Morgan isn't alone with their shortfall. J.P. Morgan only said 500,000 tons. This place is saying 889,000 tons shortfall. Remember, supply and demand. Supply goes down, supply goes down, demand goes up, prices are going to go up. John Redstone, analyst at Desjardins Securities Incorporated, says, we suggest the upcoming summer periods will be a very exciting time for LME copper prices. The market is positioning for declining copper inventories during the June, July, August period. In response, we believe copper prices should move higher. For at least 3 years, this is Judy Zhu, analyst for Standard Chartered Bank. For at least 3 years, we're still very bullish on copper, as the market will remain in deficit over that period. Even under the most conservative global demand forecasts, there's a possibility that this deficit could be more prolonged if demand grows faster than expectations. Copper is highly exposed in Asia, and urbanization in China and India will provide upside momentum for at least the next 10 and perhaps as long as 20 years. It's pretty long term. Moving along here. High-speed rail. Obama is calling for 80% of Americans to have access to high-speed rail by 2036. Currently, no Americans have access to high-speed rail. Whether or not the United States does this, I don't know, but the rest of the world is piling on to high-speed rail, and copper is the key to the increased speed of modern high-speed trains. Today's high-speed trains do not have a motor located in the locomotive. Instead, they use a series of motors and transformers located under the length of the train. New high-speed trains with their electric traction engines use from 3 to 4 tons of copper per train. An additional 10 tons is used in the power overhead cable made of copper or copper alloy that is suspended horizontally above the track and supplies the trains electrically, and communications cables per kilometer. I don't know how they come up with that, but to say that an additional 10 tons per kilometer of track, that's an awful lot of copper. That's what the article says. Recent reports indicate that over $600 billion will be spent on rail construction during the 2011-2005 five-year plan. By 2020, there would be at least 16 kilometers of passenger-dedicated high-speed rail. This is China. The total rail network by 2020 would be 120,000 kilometers. 80% of it electrified. China has plans to construct high-speed rails through Asia and Eastern Europe in order to connect to the existing infrastructure in the European Union. Additional rail lines are planned into Southeast Asia as well as Russia. This will likely be the largest infrastructure project in history. The exact route of the 3 lines has yet to be decided, but construction for the Southeast Asian line has already begun in the Chinese southern province. And Burma is about to begin building its link. China offered to bankroll the Burmese line in exchange for the country's rich reserves of lithium, a wide metal used in batteries. China is just soaking up everything. Any kind of resource, any kind of commodity, China wants it. Russia and China have announced plans to build a new, maybe something else to look at here. China and Russia announced plans to build a new Trans-Siberian link. Iran, Pakistan, and India are negotiating with China to build domestic rail lines that would link into the overall transcontinental system. So there you go. I mean, now's the time to buy copper. I really believe it's got nowhere to go but up. I save all my copper, anything I come across. As I've said before, you can go to the bank, get yourself a box of pennies, sort the ones out, anything made before 1982, and I keep mine in a jar like this. This jar holds 15 pounds. When I get to 15 pounds, I just stick it away. It really doesn't take up a whole lot of room. And I really think years from now, people are going to say, why didn't I save some copper pennies? But it isn't just pennies, copper wire, copper in all forms. Save it up, and I really think you'll be rewarded in the future. Copper is definitely not going down in price, in my opinion. So, save your copper. I think you'll be glad you did.